Hi, and welcome to the Data Strategy Gurus podcast. Today we have Denise on the show. Denise Murtha Bachmann. She's a strategic sales accountant in the world of AI. Hi, Denise, and welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Denise, selling in the world of AI, can you enlighten me and the public a bit more on what you are doing exactly? What is your role? And why are you so fascinated by artificial intelligence in the sales domain?
So I might start backwards and answer first. Your last question is, why am I excited about AI? And I think I'm so excited about it because there are so many advantages with having artificial intelligence in our world today, in the processes, in technology, in our businesses, in our personal lives. I mean, if you don't really realize it with your phone, you already have AI technology. If you have the iPhone, I can't speak to any of the other phones, but I mean, face recognition, AI is here and it's here to stay. And you might as well embrace it because it could be so exciting. So, why AI out of everything else? Because I think that is not just here, but it is going to continue to be our future and it's only going to get better. And I love being able to utilize AI technology and still keep the human touch there. I think it's important that humans still be a part of the AI process, which I think we're lacking right now. I think when humans think about AI, they think about Big Brother and it scares them. And I think that we need to be better educated. And so I think that's why it's all about selling in the world of AI, whether you're looking at technology, but still keeping the human touch, as well as then selling that utilizing automation solutions and building your brand.
And how do you see that? I mean, you say people are afraid of artificial intelligence. We need to embrace that. How does that make your life easier when you're selling? I know, like you say, everybody is afraid of Big Brother. A lot of people still don't know that they're playing Big Brother. I mean, everything you're sharing, the complete digital footprint, what you're leaving with your phone, surfing on Facebook, surfing on TikTok, on LinkedIn, wherever you go, the websites you visit, the locations you visit, all this information is so valuable and they can give you, well, they can build a lot of insights and profiles depending on what you're doing. So the intent of what you have, of, for example, you're looking for a new car, so you visit the manufacturers of car companies. So all these platforms already know that you have an interest in a new car. So very likely, depending with their models, what they've built, they know that you very likely in the next 6 months will buy a new car in this and this range. So I think there is for us as well, we need to train the people and educate the people on the digital footprint, what they are leaving. And you can see it as, okay, it's been frightening, but on the other hand, it helps you as well, maybe to just make better decisions and be better informed on that. So how do you see that in the world of selling?
Well, it's a challenge right now because you do have to educate people a lot. And I think it's because of that fear and and that lack of knowledge that it makes it a little bit more difficult than I would like it to be today. But I do believe that, you're right. Everything data is being collected, data lakes, data, I mean, tons and tons and tons and tons of data.
Yeah.
I think that it can be so useful, especially if you look at the newer generation, they want immediate results. And the only way to get immediate results is to understand their habits and what their thoughts are, or their thoughts, what they like, what they don't like, and all of that comes from data that's being collected when you're surfing the internet or you're sending an email or whatever it may be. And that really helps you become much more efficient and effective as a business person selling to that individual. And from an individual's perspective, it saves them a tremendous amount of time because now they don't have, when you have so many different options in front of you, it can be overwhelming. But if you've gone through and someone's noticed what your likes and dislikes are, and then all of a sudden they bring you some options of fewer options than what you would normally look at, it makes life a lot more easy. If I can put it in simple terms, I totaled my car in December. It was a
Hmm.
scary experience. And I drove my dream car. It was an Audi Q7, my favorite car. It was 8 years old. Loved my car. Was not ready to trade it in. And, I'm turning 50 this year and I didn't really know what kind of car I wanted. I didn't have a dream car. And I'm
Hmm.
also needing to buy a car in a time where, it's a crisis, right? And cars are extremely expensive. And I had like 2 or 3 cars picked out. My husband, on the other hand, decided he wanted to give me more options, and it became so overwhelming, I just cried because I thought, "I can't make this decision." It's very much like if I would have just had an AI technology that understood where I was surfing and what cars I was looking at, if they could just hand me 2 or 3 options, that's so much more simple and so less overwhelming than if I had 20 options in front of me, and I was so angry at my husband for making me now have all that.
So what I understand is well, we're kind of not forced, but it's the opportunity by information overload. We get so much choice. And if you say, I need to buy a new car, uh, there's so many brands, so many options. What do I have to take out of that? And the AI can say, well, I know that you don't want to buy the cheap car because you want to have safety. And this is a type of car which more fits what is your profile. It helps you in making your decision. But then I was well intrigued in the combination. I know how you can help that in your decision process, how AI technology and algorithms can help you in your decision process. But then as well on how do you match that with the human touch, especially in social selling. I think it's a bit overhyped term. We've been discussing before, like it's a person to person business. I've been there as well in the B2B space, and you have the B2C. B2C is straightforward. It's really selling to people. If they like you, they buy your product. In the B2B space, it was like a feeling of these are companies selling to each other. No, it's the same thing. It's people selling to people. So how do you see bringing in the human touch on top of augmented by the artificial intelligence?
Well, there are so many tools out that can automate the part of the process, the beginning of the the beginning of the process, specifically around finding a prospect and turning them into a lead. But if you continuously automate all of that, then you're never going to be able to build a relationship and build credibility with an individual. Because the truth is, as you said, in business to business, you are selling based on relationship. Now, if you have a total crap product, then that's one thing, right? But the reality is, you can have a product A that is a top of the line product, super great, fits all your needs. It's also priced competitively. And then you've got another one that may not fit all of the needs, but it fits most of the needs, but you like sales rep B better because
Mhm.
they built relationship with you, they built credibility, and they understand the culture of the company. And so they'll want to invest in you. So you can automate the part of the process that is just mundane and that you would probably lose through the cracks. They would fall through the cracks. For example, when you're cultivating a lead, that it used to be 7 to 8 touches. Now I think after COVID, it's about 15 different touches before a prospect actually responds. And to do that becomes very tedious for any individual, especially if you're in sales, having to call and reach out to so many people every day with a quota that you have to achieve at the end of the fiscal year. So having a tool that can go out and consistently make those 15 touches is phenomenal because then nothing falls through the crack. But at any time during that process, your goal should be to be able to jump in as necessary
Mhm.
so that you can personalize some of that messaging. So take that automation out and start to develop a relationship. And once that lead becomes a prospect, whether you've engaged or not, and hopefully you already have, you want to cultivate that from then on and leave the automation out of it because they're only going to trust you and they're only going to want to buy from you, not from an AI solution or a virtual assistant or a chat bot or
Yeah, it's
whatever.
mostly then for taking out all the tedious work where you say, and if you see the the relationship with the algorithm becomes a bit warmer, then the human being steps in, and that's a completely different way of working. I was thinking now, do you think that these algorithms can bring in that human touch in the future a bit more, a bit better? I see that they become a bit more personalized and they try to do human touch. And I try to, well, as a techie, I try to pull a leg of these algorithms from time to time, as we were discussing in LinkedIn on the DMs as well, where I asked you the question, are you the algorithm or are you a real person? And I really try to understand is, hey, how does a human respond to that? Is he will he or she offended, or how does the relationship go? And you see that we're starting to build a different relationship in the communication, although we never came across each other, we don't know each other. And I'm curious if we can bring that in the future into algorithms, into technology, that that part can be taken off by technology as such.
I think it still can get better, yes. I think it's all based on data though, so you've gotta be able it's gotta be able to pull the data from somewhere to personalize even more. So you as a sales rep have to be or as a business leader have to input the data somewhere. "Hey, this person likes this." So you still gotta take the time to do that. So I'm not quite certain. Yes, it can be done. Will it be beneficial if it gets better? I don't know because you still have to input some information. You have to get the data somewhere. So unless and which takes time, so why not just do that yourself? I do believe that
Mm.
that the models are gonna continue to get better. They learn as they go, and yes, you can add a little bit more of what seems like a human touch even though it's automated. But again, it's gotta come from data. So you've got to pull in that data from
Mhm.
somewhere, right?
Yeah, and it's then you need to think if it's really worthwhile of automating that, bringing that in the algorithms into the responses as such. If you really do it at scale, then I would believe yes, there is a benefit to it. But like you say, if you're in a lead, and especially in B2B, it's a one-on-one relationship. It's the sales cycle is about 7 months to 12 months, especially in B2B. So I don't really think that things are going that way, and quite happy and not feared that the human will stay in the loop, as where we have, well, a lot of people fear that the AI will take all the jobs as such. Yeah, and then I'm thinking as well of how do you think we can embrace that AI in a better way, and or educate? Is it, I know on the technology level that you can give transparency. How do you come to the decision? Where did the data come from? And that you can follow up how decisions are being made. But then on the other hand, is we as human touch have that sixth sense. You feel if somebody is responding you in the right way or not. That's kind of energy which is very hard to define. And I'm quite curious if that is someday will be integrated in technology. You have already the brain connections towards the machines, and all these things that they can read how your neurons are working and how you are responding. So that's for me the intriguing part on the technology side of AI. But I'm as well interested in how humans can use that and embrace it in a better way.
I don't know if I have an answer to what the future might like or how neurons are being utilized in AI technology. But what I can say is this hu- AI technology is driven by human innovation. It's driven by data. We have to give the AI the information with which to do something with it. And I think that without AI can do anything we tell it to, but it cannot innovate. So humans have to remain as part of the process because we have to continuously innovate if we're going to continuously grow and advance as a society. So I think it's super important that humans understand that it's not about taking away your job. It's about automating some processes that you are that you're doing that you're getting highly paid for that are mundane and just, not worth your energy or time, and focus on innovative stuff. Repurpose yourself so that you are focusing on innovative services or products that can add value and revenue to the business. And I think that's a problem with some of the organizations or the businesses today. I think they think as well that if they use AI, they can replace people and get rid of people. But if you take those people and actually educate them to look at how they can become automation specialists or automation engineers or whatever you're automating in that AI process, have them specific to that, how to improve website traffic. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out, but purpose them rather than let them go so that your organization can advance further than your competitors. I think if you're not doing that, and if you have the fear that AI is going to take over your role or that AI should replace someone so your organization can save money, then I think you're in trouble.
Yeah, I understand. Just to make the AI and technology more successful, we need to focus more on the human side and help people to say, what is your value? What is your worth? And just take the things that you don't like or you're not so good at or are mundane tasks, take that away and let that be executed by some technology, by algorithms, by AI. But that's a complete different take than some people think on how they need to make a success out of AI. We always focus on the technology and build things like I said, transparency and insights, but then forget that you're still working with people and need to work on the human aspect and make people more confident in the job what they're doing and that there are other opportunities. I mean, as a freelancer, I'm used to, okay, the project stops, you go and hunt for a new project, you start up again. And the other thing is what I see if people are already 20 years with a company and they get fired, it's kind of hell breaks loose and they don't know what to do. And it's kind of having that confidence and that trust and that network that helps you in landing that new opportunity, in being trustful to take new opportunities and go that route and taking use of whatever is around to make you more efficient and proficient, if I understand.
Agreed. I think, and if there was an article written, I wish I would have written it down, but all the new jobs that are there and out and available that all have to do now with the metaverse, Web3, AI, the new jobs that were not around 10 years ago, really, where the hot places are to be. You as an individual, if you're embracing the AI technology, you should be reading all that you can about the different components, understanding what makes up the new technology and where can you learn and start to grow in that because it is inevitable. Your role will be something different 5 years from now. So whatever role you're in today, your job requirements will be very, very different because automation is going to come into play. Businesses are going to continue to buy into automation solutions. And I think that if you can educate yourself on the technology itself, so one, you're not afraid of it and you can embrace it, but two, so you can start to learn maybe not a totally different industry or job role, but so that when you are asked, if I take this task away from you and automate it, what can you provide to me? You've got a good answer to give them. You can say, "Oh, well, I'm valuable because I can do these things in place of while that's doing this mundane task that I've been doing, I can focus on this area." And I think if you're thinking ahead 2, 3, 4 years down the road, then you are securing your job security for the future.
Yeah, that's a really nice take. It's a different approach on where people feel like they need to secure their job by what they do right now and they do it good and they keep on doing that for the next 10 years and kind of more being afraid of change. So adoption of AI will be more a change management than purely a technology adoption in such a way. We've been
I think
discussing. Yeah.
transformational change. It's going to be people, process, and technology. Combine them, and it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and the transformational word, I've been analyzing it as well of digital transformation, personal transformation as well. And it's kind of who you can become. So the end result is the thing where you buy into. And that's pretty hard for people to understand. What I see as well in jobs a lot of the time is they say, oh, what is your skill set? What did you do? What is your expertise? And I recently saw a very interesting video on LinkedIn as well, where this lady said, I'm hiring people for the competence what they have, what they want to become, where they want to go, what goals they want to reach. And I thought, hey, this is the first time I ever hear it. Most HR people, they just scan through your CV, all the keywords, what you have put in there. And I thought, this is so amazing. And very few people just look at that on bringing that out. If you see on yearly evaluations, they look at, okay, this is what you had to do. And these were the 5 bad points. So you need to improve on that. But all the good skills, they never count on that. So that's for me a kind of very weird way of leading organizations and just pulling out the best of people. I must say, I ever had a remark from when I was a team lead from one of my team members. He says, if you're the guy who can push the people just a bit almost over the edge, you can get the most out of that without really pushing, without really being pushy. And I thought, this is just an amazing remark. I never considered me of doing that, but it's like you said, this is the human touch, the connection, what you have to people and bringing the best out of people in an organization. And if it's a technology role, if it's sale, if it's marketing, whatever you're in, that's still a very important thing to have on board and to look at in companies.
I agree. I agree. So did you actually push people past the limit and get them to think outside of the box or do something new and different as you were challenged or suggested to?
Yeah, I'm mostly trying to do that, but it's a thin line because if you do that, you sometimes obfuscate people. You just kind of make them afraid because you have such a different uh, way of looking at things where a lot of people can't follow. So you first have to take little steps to get them to the final vision of where you're going. And that's something I'm learning for myself. I sometimes I do that game with my kids, and my daughter says, Daddy, don't do that. Just come to the point. And I sometimes throw something completely out of, which doesn't really touch out of the blue in there just to start the discussion and get that going. It's something I like, but it's sometimes very experienced, very weird to people. But yeah, that's what I really like on just challenging the status quo, pushing things forward in a different way. That's where I'm going on the hunt of understanding what is out there, what are the new developments, what is the innovation is happening there, just to bring that to clients as well, and bring the best out of their business. And I'm not interested to do the legacy systems than the traditional systems. I say this is the way where we can go, and how can we get there? Because that's still the challenge of the change and how to make the change happen as such.
Well, and I think how we can get there today is going to be different in how we can get there 2 or 3 years down the road. Technology is so dynamic and ever changing at such a fast pace that I think the way we see things or do things today is not going to be the way we do or see them 2 or 3 years down the road. Whereas 10 years ago, you couldn't, 10 years, you'd think, okay, with 10 years, we could potentially be here, maybe. We're here now in 10 years, you can't even imagine what 10 years is going to look like now because technology is advancing so fast that it's 2 or 3 years out and you're still going to be, you have no idea what's going to be out there and what's going to be available. It's like it's moving at such a fast pace now. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I completely agree on that. But if you pronounce it like that, or you state it like that, where you say it's so much changing, things will be completely different. It's kind of frightening for people as such. What I've learned in my 20 years being into data management, being in production environments as well, there is a basic skill set what you learn. I mean, I've learned to work with databases, with SQL, with SQL Server, and sometimes I come across and say, hey, this is a skill set which goes along already for 20 years. This is a basis. I learned to program, this is still something which is beneficial in the roles what I'm doing. And that's something we need to tell people, hey, you have something, a layer, which is something where you can rely on, and you build on top of that. So everything is not new. I've learned as well, 20 years ago, I was looking into how do you model? How do you do project management? How do you do business analysis? Because I felt there is something missing. And then looking back 20 years at those days, I thought, it was not yet invented, those frameworks.
Yeah.
People were looking at it. They were still building that. And I felt, okay, I don't know it yet. I don't know it yet. Yes, because it's not yet there. And that's sometimes, if you just reflect on how things went, that's very surprising as such. So I think people don't have to be so fearful of new technology, of change. Just embrace change, learn to work with it, and take, try to take the best out of it and move forward on that. But that's something we need to educate and train and support people in such things. And there are still big opportunities in roles and people coaching other people in that respect.
I agree. I think that I don't know how yet we can do that effectively, but I do believe that somehow, as a group of individuals, as an organization that's created, I don't know. Somehow we have to start really sharing about the advantages of AI, educating them what AI is, what technology looks like. How can you adapt to the changes that are happening? Even though change, it is frightening to think 2 to 3 years down the road, your job is going to be different. Yes, that is frightening. But how do you're right. You have a basis or a core of knowledge that you can still utilize. It's always going to be utilized. You're just going to have to use it differently. And we have to educate them. There are not enough people out there today educating. I think there are enough people that are talking about metaverse and they're telling you about AI, but they're not telling you how you fit in that process still. Right. And I think that's where we have to focus on. There's tons of great thought leaders and influencers that will educate on the technologies themselves. But where we're failing or where there's a gap or maybe where there's an opportunity is to really educate how do we as humans still stay a part of that process, even as the technology continues to change and grow.
Yeah, that's really nicely put. I think if we bring that up, just to bring a bit more confidence to the people on how they can embrace the technology and AI and how they can see at it, and it's again the glass is half full or half empty, and we need to change that vision for a lot of people on how they look at the world. I mean, we're in a very strange times with climate change, with politics going wrong, with war all over the place, with a lot of resources draining down. And if you keep on looking at things, then you think, wow, what's going on? But I still believe in the positiveness of things that can happen and still look at a very bright future for that. So, yeah, still a lot of things what we can do in that. As a final wrap up, Denise, I had some choices for you to make. So if you can walk with me through these things, I just pick one of them out of that, just to see what your thoughts on that. So what do you think? Hard selling or influencing sales decisions?
You said you asked hard selling or influential?
Or influencing sales decisions?
Oh, influencing. I prefer influencing over hard sales.
Artificial intelligence or just being busy working?
Oh, artificial intelligence, but with the human touch still there.
So we come to the next one: people or technology?
Oh, well, that's hard because technology is great, but you need people in order to run the technology. So I'd have to say both. If I had to pick one, I'd have to say technology because I love AI, but you need both.
People and technology. Okay, that's an option as well. Education or experimentation?
Ooh, I think experimentation because you learn better through actually doing.
It's
Like, someone can be super educated, but never really know how to practically do something.
exactly. Inspire or follow?
Oh, inspire. I think that if you can inspire someone, you are turning on a light within them to do something different, motivate them to be something different or to take a different action.
Lead or follow?
Oh, lead. I think that we're all gonna be followers in some instance, in some parts of our life. But I think if you are a leader, you are confident in yourself and you know your truth and you're authentic, then people will be around you and you will want to follow them as well, right? So I think it's a little bit of both, but aspire to be a leader.
Yeah, yeah, good one. And then the final one, music or dancing?
Oh, music. I love dancing, but I love music more. I was a music education major, so I will belt it out anywhere when I hear a song that I love. I'm not afraid to sing.
So you have a favorite song or a favorite band? Is that something you can share as well?
I think my favorite song is it's by Led Zeppelin and it is Curtis Lowe. Curtis Lowe is my favorite song, but I would say I like just about every genre since I was a music education major. I love every genre of music, but Curtis Lowe is one of my favorite songs. I don't know why, but just brings back a lot of good memories. So if you don't know that song, go find it.
I'm going to go and find it. So I know Led Zeppelin. I mean, I'm that old, so I know Led Zeppelin. Uh, and then, if you could give one good advice to people, what would that be, Denise?
One good advice would be just be you, your authentic self. I think that people want to see your real authenticity and they want to do business and work with and partner with and be friends with someone who is authentic and real.
Great words. And if you had one wish, what would that be?
If I had one wish, I wish that we could educate people of today, whether they're young or old, about how to communicate more effectively, especially as it relates to the digital world. I think so many of our problems are related to our lack of communication in the appropriate manner through digital media platforms.
Communication and human touch. Very, very nice words to wrap up. Denise, it was so great to have you on the Data Strategy Gurus podcast. I really enjoyed our talks. I still feel that we could go on for a few other hours besides AI technology, especially on the human touch, which really interests me and triggers me and keeps me going as much. So thank you very much for being a guest on my show. Really enjoyed the discussions.
Thank you for having me as a guest. I'm super honored and it was a lot of fun. So thank you for giving me the opportunity and getting to know you better. And I am super excited as to where we're headed for the future.